guys, welcome to another episode of Matt Shows Off another interesting game, which is this time Tumbleweed Express by the Tumbleweed Ballers, which is admittedly a company I haven't heard of before, but certainly this game has it explores a interesting concept in my opinion. So I'll just quickly load up my game and we'll just show a bit of gameplay, and then I'll just launch straight into a mission while I explain the game. So it's essentially, I'll just basically pick the easiest mission and then I'll just explain all this later. So, because I feel the best way to really just show what a game is like is to actually jump straight into the gameplay. So this is a literally shooter on rails. And for those not familiar with the concept, basically rails on shooters is basically refers to shooting games, such as like say Time Crisis in the arcade games where basically you don't do any moving, the game moves you, and essentially you just shoot at stuff, and it really doesn't get any simpler than that. But in this case, you're literally on rails, since you're basically controlling a gun that's on a train. And basically what you can do is that you can just shoot a bunch of things. I mean, of course, when you start out, you just have your very basic shooter that like really doesn't, I mean, it's basically this cannon which, you know, it shoots fairly normally, and it's really like, and one neat feature is that what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna keep shooting, and you can see on the crosshairs the little bar on the left going up and up and up and up, and that basically means that once it's too high, it means it's overheated and I can't use the cannon for a bit. And that's obviously just a way just to sort of just manage your shooting, and it's certainly sort of just avoids it being just another, well, I'm just gonna hold the mouse button down and just shoot things. So the story is kind of just like, well, you know, you're a train, you need to carry a bunch of supplies, but you know, there's evil people who want to get your supplies, and obviously what you need to do is fend them off as you transport your supplies. So if you see on the left, there's like a quest menu. At the bottom there's a sprocket delivery quest where basically I need to deliver so many sprockets to my destination, which is kind of just at the end of this particular stretch of train line. And oh, I'm done already, which is a little too quick, so we'll just actually load up the next one where I continue talking about the game. So basically it's also, I suppose some people might call it like an inverse tower defense sort of thing, and that's definitely another way to look at it. It's very similar to just trying to think of what other games it might be. I can't remember, but Space Run, which is a more recent game, and they're actually about to release a sequel. I'm not sure if it's out already, but Space Run is another game that comes to mind, where basically you control a spaceship, but you build the guns on it, and stuff comes at you. So okay, so sort of enough. Anyway, I will be honest in that this game actually, well, firstly about the concept itself, I think it's quite a novel concept. I think it's an interesting one to explore. However, in terms of execution, this game still leaves one or two things to be desired, and part of it feels like they haven't just like, it hasn't got that polish that one would normally see in a, I guess, a more refined or AAA game, and it's for that might turn off some people. Some people might be looking for something a bit more of a complete game. But, you know, for me, the interest, what I was more interested in seeing this concept in action, how well they were able to execute it, and I think they've done a pretty good job. And given that, and with that in mind, I honestly think the price tag for the game is fairly reasonable. It's from memory $6 US on Steam, and it's yeah, I mean, it's definitely you get what you pay for, and you know, and I feel the price tag is very reasonable. But of course, you know, if you want to kind of get like a Steam set, if you want to get it on Steam sale, well, be my guess. So basically, it's kind of just a very single player campaign kind of mission where you know, you got a train, you do missions, and there's obviously stuff you can unlock on later missions, and then as a result you get money, and then you can use those money to buy upgrades for your trains, which we will look at later once we complete this mission. Of course, when you buy upgrades, you get additional stuff on the train, like the boost, which I'm using right now. There's an obstruction ahead, which I need to kill. and basically better guns and additional characters that will allow you to essentially, you know, just do more damage or shoot at more people. So we should be reaching the end. So I'll just use up the rest of my boost. And then, of course, basically after each after you complete each trail, there is like, you know, you can complete a bunch of quests for money, and but there's also some expenses based on it's actually how many infantry you have in your in your trains and such. So it's definitely some bit of resource management, but it's fairly negligible in my opinion. So after each route or each mission, you can basically unlock a bunch of things depending on how quickly you finish, and of course that's dependent on the amount of boost you use. There's obviously a collectible ladder, which is kind of like a secret sort of thing, and then on the right you can see the payout. You see you get the payout for completing the mission, and then of course you need to pay the people, and then you get profits. So we're just going to explore basically what's in the depot. I'm not sure if it's pronounced depot, but we'll go to the depot. That's because that's just the way I've been learned it. So usually what you start off with this front carriage and then just this back carriage, and then what happens when you complete a few more missions is that you'll be able to purchase additional train cars. So you can kind of just see here that like for example this train car, I've got a 2-barrel cannon tow, and then you can basically get engineers and marshals. Engineers are basically, they help repair the train cars when you get big damage, and then marshals are just sort of like additional firepower that they sort of reside within your carriages. So you can buy stuff like a damage upgrade, your engineer and your marshal. It's fairly elementary. There's nothing that's really sort of like ingenious about it. So it's like here, maybe I'll just buy an extra marshal for it, you know, and nothing wrong with a little additional firepower. Alright, so there's the ledger, which is basically just sort of like secrets that basically you look for a big giant envelope and you shoot it, and it's at least in these ones I found, it was just like, okay, well, you kind of just need to look at a place where you don't normally look, and you should be able to find it fairly easily. But of course I haven't really sort of put much effort into finding the others. So, and then there's that, and then when you ship out, you can basically choose a bunch of different areas, and that's actually, I should probably touch on. So when you pick a certain area, there's like a bunch of different like tasks you can do within one travel, and basically each of these allow you to, you know, gain more money depending on whether you actually complete it or not. And of course there are some missions that require a certain type of weapon. So it's like here you say it's locked, requires weapon. You need some kind of TNT type weapon on the caboose to take on this contract. So that's basically on the caboose. If I go on the train, this is the caboose from memory, and basically I need to have a TNT weapon in order to be able to do that particular part of the mission. But since I don't, there's nothing much I can do about it right now. It's fairly straightforward. There's really nothing much that there's really nothing too additional that can be said. It's like basically other guns you can have. It's like you've probably seen it already, but it's like here. So this is your standard, you know, your cannon turret. Here I've got a flamethrower. Automated car mounted flamethrower deals medium area damage over time. So it's kind of got a short range, but it does damage over time. You know, it's really good for shooting stuff that comes up close. And this is a TNT launcher, which as you've probably seen in the train, it just shoots a barrel that deals kind of damage over an area. And then of course, as I said before, there's the engineers and the marshals. And throughout the actual track, there is definitely a bunch of engineers and marshals that you can actually move around the engineers within each of the tracks. So it's definitely yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept. It's a cheap game. It's definitely a game that lacks a bit of polish, but I think what they managed to do is actually, you know, it's like they haven't done anything wrong. It's just that they're missing a lot of things that could have made the game a bit more refined, a bit more depth, and a bit more I guess strategy and resource management and that kind of thing. But honestly, for this price point, I have a feeling that the developers just wanted to just explore the concept, see what they could do with it, and you know, if they felt like they couldn't do it any further, they would just release it in this state. And this is honestly, I think, a reasonable effort, and especially and definitely a reasonable price tag. So yeah, this is Tumbleweed Express. A fairly short video this time because honestly, there's not much. In my opinion, there's not much to show, and it's just kind of just like, it's, you know, you can just pop in for a mission, play for a few minutes, and I'm a huge like I like to sort of just, I've noticed that I like to highlight games in which you can just sort of just sit down and play for short bursts of time, and it's like it's not really that much of a big deal if you don't do all that well sort of thing, because it's casual, it's relaxing, it's not that difficult, and and for this game you can basically control it all using the mouse, so it's yeah, definitely a low barrier to entry, definitely very approachable, definitely not polished, but that shouldn't detract you from this kind of game if you're interested in it. So yeah, this is Tumbleweed Express. My name is Matt. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this content, there is a like and subscribe button for your clicking pleasure, and I will see you on the next video.